Good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Oh, is it going already?
Uh, we have to be quiet for
I
a minute.
know, but it is
Yes, it
going
is.
already.
Yes, it
Okay.
is, dear. It is.
Hi. Okay. Now I'll be quiet.
Hi. This session, we're going to talk about our marriage. Marriage.
That blessed arrangement is what brings us together today. That
Dream
dream
within a
within a
dream.
dream.
Okay, that was from The Princess Bride, obviously.
Okay.
The first few years of our marriage, obviously, we were getting used to each other, and they mostly went pretty good. We did have some knockdown dragouts. I was pretty strong-willed, and Mom was becoming strong-willed, and but we had, we anytime you blend two people together, no matter how well they know each other, you're going to have tension, and we did have some pretty good tension. Anyway, we also came from very different family of origins. And even if you have two really good families, again, you're going to have friction till you get to know each other and things like that. Finances were always a tension for us.
Yes. Mostly because at that time of our marriage, I was choosing to spend money and not really be very aware or accountable of how I was spending money. And then I would feign surprise when Dad would say, "Wait a minute, why is the checking account so low?" Or I didn't know at that point that I had so much to learn about how you choose to do finances together, and how it really becomes a reflection of what values both of you hold dear, and who you are
Yeah.
as a couple, and how that shows up. I went through a lot of learning, and I'm grateful for that. And I certainly started out spending a lot of money.
We also, even though we went to churches wherever we were at, we never really developed a close set of friends.
Yeah,
I mean, we did have
true.
close friends here and there. We did,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. I mean, honestly, Tim and Chris, it's not like you're close friends.
We love
You
seeing what
know.
you guys have, and the way that you value that, and it shows in how you do your relationships and your friendships. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Marriage is wonderful, and it's amazing to do it with a group of friends who will love and support you and be real. We
Yeah.
have that and have had that for a long time now. When we started out, we didn't have that, and
Yeah.
oh my, God held us together. He held us
Yeah.
together through so much. If it had just
Yeah.
been Dad and me without the Lord at our side to walk with us and give us His direction and challenges and insight, I'm sure, would have failed
Yeah.
that marriage.
Yeah.
God gave us the strength and grace to come to terms with things and learn to really what it really meant to love one another and to be in it together.
Yeah. And I also didn't realize. I mean, we had you three boys right away, and Mom was a full-time mom. But especially when I was working for Grandpa, I was gone a minimum 10 and a half hours a day with the
True.
drive time.
True.
And when I worked overtime, I was gone like 12 and a half hours a day. And so Mom felt very alone,
Yeah.
especially without some really good friends. Now, again, we had some friends, but not like we do now. And that is one thing that I probably didn't fully understand, is that you just need good friends. And, Mom needed some really good, godly girlfriends. And I could have stood a few really close friends, and
Like he has now.
yeah, like I have now. And I mean, I didn't feel I needed him at the
Yeah.
time, which was probably saying a lot. But anyway, but we got by that, and let's
Well,
see.
we got through that.
We got through
chose
that,
to get through
yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
When we did have you guys, I will say probably a weak point in our marriage was we were not together on discipline.
Well, that's true.
You know,
That's true.
you know, I turned out to be the disciplinarian, and you know, especially with my anger problem, that was not a good combination. And Mom was not as supportive as she could have been on discipline. So I would say that was one area that we just didn't do very good at. But I also realized that, you know, like we're teaching this premarital class, and one of the things we're going to be talking to them about is to be together on discipline. That is a pretty important thing. And again, I think part of that was from just our family of origin. And I'm not blaming that. I'm just saying that's what we came into the marriage with. So,
Right. And we've learned now that we have dear friends who are really real. And our grandparents also, you know, we get it from all the times we've shared and talked with them that that's not unusual. I mean, we all have our,
yeah,
you know, ways that we choose to interact with our kids, and it's unusual for a couple to have very similar ways of interacting with their children. And so, you know, we've learned that yeah, what we love seeing is the ways that you kids have learned from us, and the ways you are beautifully, and I love you dearly, beautifully having your own experience
Yeah.
of being parents, and it's
Yeah.
unique to you, and you know through and through what you're going through, and that it's all part of the process of being a parent. And I see the net in your kids, in our
Yeah.
grandkids,
Yeah.
and I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful for what I see in all of them, and how they are growing into children who really love you and love each other, and have a real passion for the Lord. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
just amazing
Yeah.
to see.
yeah,
And so we, you know, that's the way life is. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody goes through
Yeah.
their stuff.
While Mom and I dearly loved each other, and you know, most of the time we got along
We
really
dearly
well.
loved each other. We don't
Yeah, well-
dearly love each other anymore. We did dearly love
Okay,
each
all
other.
right, okay, all right.
But it's
okay.
kind of grown into
yes,
we
yes, yes,
mostly
yes,
tolerate each other.
Yes, dear, yes, dear. Okay, I gotta watch what I say. We really did. I mean, we really do love each other, and we did love each other. And but I noticed after a few years that Mom began to kind of drift away, and so we decided we would go to marriage counseling. And I specifically wanted a Christian for marriage counseling because I wanted to know that their bar was high for marriage.
Yeah.
And the counselor that we chose was God's woman in our life. I mean, over several years, she helped us realize, well, first off, she asked Mom if she would submit herself to a Christian psychiatric hospital because she felt there was something wrong, but she couldn't quite place it. And it's at that Christian psychiatric hospital that they diagnosed Mom with bipolar disorder. And then she got on medication, and that was really interesting because you have to, back then they just had lithium.
Yeah.
And you had to get exactly the right amount of it, and the right therapeutic level was just below the toxic level. Now they have other things, but also the psychiatrist said that he wanted us to continue with the marriage counseling because some of the coping mechanisms Mom had unknowingly learned to deal with her manic or depressive phases, that he said they're destructive to your marriage, and so you have to unlearn those.
And learn new ways of
Yeah.
coping, new ways of experiencing those times that would be where it would be a learning curve for me, not a downward spiral.
Yeah. And in the process of all of this, I realized that I had an anger problem. And you probably heard me say this before, but, my scientist mind, I analyzed the problems, and I told our counselor one day, honestly, I think they're 70% Patty's problem. And the mistake I made was she was in the room at the time. But the counselor looked at me and she said, I agree with you. And I thought, finally, somebody agrees with me. And then she's still looking at me. And I thought, uh-oh, she's not done yet. And then she said, are you willing to work on your 30% now? And I was kind of like, well, couldn't Patty kind of work on her 70% first? And then when I see she's really working on it, I could work on my 30%. And the counselor just looked at me and she says, you really think that's going to fly with God? And I said, no, I really don't think that's going to fly with God. So I had to start working on my anger problem, and I had to let the counselor work on Patty's bipolar disorder. And since then, and it took a few years.
Yeah, about 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But since then, it has been fantastic. In fact, at our 25th anniversary, we had Diane there. And we were able to tell everybody, here's the woman that God used to really save our marriage. And that was yay God. So
something to share with you, very precious to me, about that whole experience is Diane a few years ago passed away, and her husband, I'm a chaplain, guys, I'm a chaplain at our church, and her husband came to our grief share group, which we provide for people who are going through losing a loved one, and it's just a 12-week time where you meet with other people who have also experienced that loss, and there's videos that we see together, and we have conversation and things that we can journal and basically process and work through our experience of grieving together. And that was a privilege.
Yeah.
To go through that as a chaplain with him, giving back so much of what had been given to me. And he knew who we were, and he knew that. And Dave wasn't in the class; it was just me.
Yeah.
And he just really appreciated. He got it, and that was precious. That was a really precious experience, a way to give back. In a very special way to Diane, to give back to her husband and walk with him through his grief. That was precious.
Yeah. So since then, we have been more madly in love with each other, and but we also realize Jesus really held us together in this whole thing.
Yes.
And at times, it seemed like it wasn't going to be held together. And I know there were times when he was the one that was holding us together. And so just to say to you, you will go through tough times in marriage. That's a given. You're not going to get away from that. But just realize that it's a three-stranded cord. It's you, your spouse, and Jesus. And I hope you don't ever reach the point which he's the only one holding you together, but he will hold you together if your hearts are towards him. No matter what's going on with you, too, if your hearts are towards him, he will hold you together, and he can heal anything. Well, that's about it for this time. So, do you have anything else to say?
I would say what I've learned about our marriage journey so far is that it's never quite what I expected it was going to be, because I had no clue. I thought I did. Boy, we were baby Christians getting married, and we thought we were Christians, so because we were Christians and God was
We were
with
just
us,
gonna go
man, we were
straight
just
up,
gonna, there weren't gonna be any problems, that was a huge assumption on our part. And God was very faithful to help us realize how not true that was.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just have to say, I am grateful for everything that we have walked through together. And the biggest word there is together.
Yeah.
Because we have chosen to walk our marriage together, no matter what. God is with us, we know that, and we've seen evidence of that. He has loved us when we were not willing in that moment to love each other.
Yeah.
And then bring us back to a place of realizing, wow,
We really do love each other, and this
and
is
we
why
can
he
each
called us
own our
together.
part. We can each own our part of the relationship, and we have enough to do by just going to God with what our part of the relationship is, let alone wondering when our spouse is going to get their act together. But anyway, I'm grateful, for all the years and all the experiences, and it's a journey that's unprecedented,
Yeah.
and it's a journey that is precious, and I love not knowing what's coming next. I really do.
And we're in a spot right now in the second half of our life where, in a sense, we're reaping the benefits of walking with God. I can honestly say, for me, this is the best part of my life. We just have so much fun together. It's just, it blows me away. It really does. So, okay, that's it. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I love you.